Welcome to Acumentus Acumen, the short and sharp property podcast that delivers expert insights and answers to your burning industry questions. Join our property valuers monthly as they distill their wisdom into each episode. It's your compass in the ever-evolving real estate world. Let's dive into the latest episode.
Welcome to this month's Acumentus Acumen. We're talking about the future of short-term accommodation in various coastal areas around Australia. I'm Chris Anderson and I'm the Regional Director of the Sunshine Coast and Noosa area. Short-term accommodation has been extremely strong over the past 3 years on the Sunshine Coast. Occupancy for the more prime areas have been running sort of 80-90% plus, and secondary you're down around 60 to 65%, averaged out in the last 12 months. More recently, that secondary accommodation has really dropped down to closer to probably 40-45% anecdotally, and that is actually leading a lot of people to place properties back in the permanent rental pool. And so that fringe area is the most heavily impacted. There's definitely been a trend back to the resorts as people look more to the facilities and the location the resorts offer and shy away from the whole idea of staying in someone's house or downstairs from someone's house. Airbnb's always been sort of mainly driven by younger people, and they're the ones that are probably most heavily impacted by the cost of living increases which we're currently experiencing. And they also tend to use these things for a sort of shorter period of time before they look to other alternatives. And I think that's what we're seeing now, that we see younger people looking for alternatives, and we're seeing an increase in more boutique hotels and motels popping up around the place. So it's a different experience that now that they're chasing, rather than the old sort of stay downstairs and in someone's house. Currently, Noosa has recently changed its short-term accommodation where they now need development approval to run it for short-term letting. And that's definitely narrowed what was quite a big pool. So that's constricted a pool a little bit more, and they get charged a lot more, charged levies, and their rates are higher. So that's impacting on their holding costs. John Burke, what's happening on the Gold Coast?
Yeah, thanks very much, Chris. John Burke, Associate Director of the Gold Coast office. Look, much like the Sunshine Coast, the future of the short-term rental market remains strong, though is dynamic. Probably more focusing on Airbnb than the service departments, just through a lack of data for the service departments. Gold Coast has approximately just over 11,000 properties registered on the Gold Coast, with many not registered due to the fact that they don't fit within the zoning regulations, and also the cost in putting in the material change of use, which I believe is between about $7,000 or $9,000. Demand for short-term accommodation, Airbnb, has reduced basically due to the eroding of disposable income as a result of increased interest rates. I think COVID basically saw the maximum amount of occupancy, with the Airbnb manager stating that approximately 97% of properties were occupied during COVID. Once a borders opened, this reduced down to about 84%, and now it's down to about 60 or 70% occupancy. What feedback we're getting is that properties that don't have redeeming features such as beach views or hinterland views, or aren't particularly well looked after, are the properties that are having problems getting occupancy. The future is generally bright for the Gold Coast short-term accommodation market, though potential change in council restrictions may lead to reduced occupancy, but only time will tell. And I'll throw you over to Tom.
Thank you, John. My name is Tom McDougall, and I'm Director of Regional Residential Operations, New South Wales, based here in Newcastle. The short-term rental market here in Newcastle has fared very well over the last few years. Locally, it's really focused around the CBD and the beaches, and this has seen good growth with a lot more unit developments coming online, enjoying close proximity to the beaches, enjoying nice views, and all in all been quite desirable as a holiday location. We also have a very large number of short-term rentals out in the Hunter Valley and the vineyards. This market has gone very well for a very long time, and I think this will only continue to do so. with obviously your occupancy rates still quite high even post-COVID. I'll also touch quickly on the Central Coast. Being a desirable holiday location for Sydney-siders, located only an hour and a half up the road, it is actually the second highest number of registered short-term rentals in New South Wales, falling short only just behind the South Coast. So all in all, the short-term rental in the Newcastle region is considered to have a strong future, and I'll pass you over to Damien.
Hello, I'm Damien. I'm from the southwest of Western Australia, and I work through Busselton and the Margaret River region. This region is a very popular holiday destination for most Western Australians. The region has a high number of short-term rentals, with Airbnb making up a significant portion of the market. Over recent years, there's been increased regulation of this market, and both cities have made owners register their properties and improve their properties accordingly. What we're finding currently is the returns for Airbnb on the short-term market are marginally superior to the permanent market, and as regulations increase and interest rates increase, we expect to see some of these properties be resold back into the market for either owner-occupiers or longer-term rentals. Overall, we expect the market to continue to perform. The City of Busselton now has direct flights coming from Melbourne, and in coming years we expect that to be increased to Sydney and Brisbane. So overall, the tourism market in this region is strong, and the short-term rental market is a significant part of this market.
And that's a wrap. Thank you for listening to Acumentus Acumen. Tune into next month's podcast for another topical discussion, and be sure to submit your questions below. Like and subscribe so you don't miss our next episode of Acumentus Acumen. Catch you in the next one.